Dean Windass, official club ambassador, how does that sound and feel?
Yeah, it's obviously an honour and a privilege. Obviously, always, Hull City's always been my football club since I was 6-year-old, and to play here twice, be apprentice here, and obviously now working for the football club in a different role. It's a huge honour for me.
And it's not just the club you played for, the club you saved from relegation, the club you fired into the Premier League, it's your hometown club as well. Does that make it more special?
Well, of course it does, yeah. I think that, I've always had, special sort of thing for the football club, always will do. And now to get the opportunity to work for the football club as well, in not so much as a coaching role as well, as the other side of it, going around, places and trying to give the club enough publicity as much as we can, to push the club forward. And I've always wanted to come back and to play here, which I achieved. And now I always wanted to come back and now the coach or be a manager one day. But at this present time, to be made, club ambassador, it's a huge honour because, obviously the new owners have come in and they're trying to take the club forward.
You've always said since you finished playing that you wanted to get back into football day in, day out. You're back in now, aren't you? Well,
listen, I went through a tough time in my life, and the one thing about it is that you've got to keep busy, and I've got the opportunity now, to keep my mind focused on a lot of things, and try, as you say, if it's to go into schools or into places where we're trying to give the club a massive name again, which at the minute we're still in the Premier League, and that's the most important thing. And kids want to see Premier League footballers, kids want to see Premier League teams, and they actually want to see the Premier League team being the home team. So, that's the one thing we've got now, and I'm just trying to push that on now.
You've already been dipping your toes into the water this season. We'll talk about India in a minute, but can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing on match days?
Yeah, my match day role is obviously different to the other ex-players. We have a guest of the opposition, an ex-player or somebody who's part of the team who we're playing against, and we're going to sort of 5 or 6 lounges. I get asked about what's happening with our team, and the other players gets asked about what their team's doing, and we go about 4 or 5 rooms, and then we watch the game at half time. We have a bit of food, and then we do the debrief at the end. So it's a different role to what the other players are doing, but it's better because you're meeting different players as well. And obviously, it's been quite good really, because every guest we've had in the next player, I've either known them or played against them, so it's quite easy for me.
And just before Christmas, you were spreading the word thousands of miles away in India. Tell us a little bit about that trip.
Yeah, it was a great experience, to go to a different country, with the poverty that they've got, and driving from the airport, to the hotel was a different world really, and to promote the club in India, for the Premier League, with all the other ambassadors there as well. There was Lee Trundle were there, Graham Stewart, Emil Heskey, Mark Bright, Robbie Fowler. People like that who were representing their football clubs. It was an honour for me to represent Hull, and who would have said, that we'd be trying to broaden our horizon in India. From my Bulfrey Park days, it was different. So that's how far the club's moved on, and it was a great experience, to see all the Indian, kids wearing the shirts of Hull Tigers or Hull City, whatever you want to call it. It was like you give a T-shirt to a young kid, and it was like them winning the lottery, because that's what it meant to them, and they all had smiles on their faces, and it was fantastic.
And now that the role's official, of course, you'll be getting into the local community as well.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Just listen to what James or Simon tells me what to do. I've got to go do it. So, I'm happy to work, from Monday to Friday really, and the more I'm doing, the better it is for the football club, and it keeps me busy. Listen, the good thing about it is I'm a Hull lad, and the one thing is that, the schools that I'll go into, I've probably played against them schools when I was a kid myself, so I understand what it means to the community as well. So, the more young kids we get on board, and the more young kids we get to buy shirts, that'll be my job, you know, satisfaction really.